time with you on Point Counterpoint USA. Dorsey is in the studio. Steve, Larry, Frank, and Brad are on the phone, and we've got several topics we're going to discuss, and I guess we'll start with, I guess it's the talk of the water cooler still in America, and that would be the attempted assassination at the Washington Hilton at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And so we'll start with that. Frank, you got some thoughts on that? I'll start with you.
Well, you guys used to have an old comrade there. I don't know if I should name him, but I'll just call him Denny for short. I'd really like to direct my comments at him. But several times when Democrats get caught in this, they want to start equivalating.
They want to start what?
Equivalating. Well, it's both sides. Both sides.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Both sides need to tone down the rhetoric. No. Donald Trump calling somebody low energy, low IQ, Lion, Ted, Little Marco, Pocahontas, crooked, sleepy, this is not getting people shot at, okay? Calling somebody pedophile, racist, Nazi, Hitler, Gestapo, fascist, that is. And this guy's manifesto reads like a who's who of this stuff that's being spilled in Washington by Kamala Harris, by Joe Biden during the campaign, and it's literally getting people shot and killed. So the moral equivalency needs to stop. Now, do I agree with all the rhetoric that goes on? No. But here's the problem. When you call somebody the best, worst, last, most terrible name you can think of, the only call left is the violence. Because the implication is, well, if you was around when Hitler was around, you would have done the world a service by taking him out. Okay, that's the implication. So this is rhetoric aimed at getting Donald Trump, and it needs to stop. That's my 2 cents.
Steve, I'm going to go to you since you're our in-house Democrat.
We've become... Well, I'm going to push back a little bit on Frank. I think it is a both sides thing, not just from Trump. You quoted Trump's sayings. But Trump has, in my opinion, kind of given the green light to be kind of nasty. Nastiness does need to stop on both sides. We need to put our big kid pants on and get back to talking about what the problems are in this country and what needs to be done. Stop the name calling. And I'm certainly against any kind of retribution that has to deal with violence. It's a scourge that's happening way too often, whether it be political, whether it be in schools, whether it be anywhere. We've got a mental health crisis in this country, and we need to start taking a look at how we can best approach it.
Yeah, and just my 2 cents for a second. I think I loathe Donald Trump when he calls people names.
May I push back on that a bit?
On sure. Steve?
Defend that a bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Steve's a good guy, so I'm not bad about him. Donald Trump is a counterpuncher. If you all remember back in 2016 when my man Ben Carson from the Seventh-day Adventist Church was running for president, Donald Trump said, I wish Ben would hit me. He's too nice a guy. He's just too nice a guy. I wish he'd hit me because I'm a better counterpuncher than I'm a puncher. If you guys all remember Hillary Clinton, I've read 12 books on the Clintons at least. Hillary Clinton said when she was growing up, her mom told her that if somebody hit her, she was to rear back and hit them twice as hard as they hit her. Donald Trump is a reactor to things. He does not call people names and insult people unless they drew first blood. Now, I'm not going to sit here and advocate that's biblical, because the Bible talks about turning the other cheek, but the Bible doesn't suggest you stand in one spot and get beat to death by somebody, just slapping your cheeks back and forth until you die. At some point, you're allowed to run away. Some point, you're allowed to defend yourself. But if you look at these instances where Donald Trump has supposedly called somebody a name, it's always been provoked by them. And the other thing that I would mention, tie into this story, I don't know, Jimmy Kimmel had a skit pre-Washington Correspondents' Dinner where he's saying, well, look at Melania, she looks so gorgeous, she looks so pretty, she looks like she's about to be a widow. This is the kind of stuff, this is the atmosphere. And then when somebody does something, then it's like, oh, well, we either need to tone it down or they're out of, they're nowhere to be found. And what I'm explaining is, if you can tell me an insult, Donald Trump has called somebody unprovoked, I will give you usually the atmosphere where he felt like he had to strike back. So that's my defense.
Steve, do you want to counter that, or otherwise, Larry, we'll go to you.
Trump is a great counterpuncher, and he does know how to. I think he enjoys riling up his base and getting under the skin of those on the left, and he's a virtuoso at it. But there are times that he gets nasty just because, not because someone calls him a name, but because they attack his policies. And then he gets nasty. It's in my opinion, it's just gotten a little old, and it may come back to bite the Republicans in the midterms because he seems to be very nonchalant about what's really happening at the kitchen table these days. But I think Hillary Clinton was not very good at it either. Hillary Clinton's biggest problem was the fact she didn't go after Trump. She dissed those who were leaning towards supporting Donald Trump, and that's what did her in ultimately. So she can't stand toe to toe with Trump in any way, policy wise perhaps, but not when it comes to getting into the ring.
Yeah, what was it that Hillary Clinton called Trump supporters?
Basket of deplorables.
Deplorables, yeah. That's right.
I think irredeemable basket of deplorables.
All right, Larry, jump in here, would you please?
Well, I come from a background that emphasizes self-defense and restraint. However, in the 40, 50-plus years that I've been doing this, I'm always amazed at the people who throw the first punch and then proceed to get the daylights beat out of them are the first ones to say, we have to stop this violence. That seems to be the theme, thread that runs through all of it. If you don't want to fight, don't throw the first punch. And in almost every case, these guys have done this. And then when they get Trump to reply, they condemn his response as violent rhetoric after they've done just the same thing or exactly. So you can't claim that you have to stop all violence after you've been throwing the first punch. And I think that's what we see a lot especially in the Democrat side, and not so much Democrat, but the far liberal side of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that Democrat. I would call that far left. Just like
I
there are people who are far right.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
All right, Brad, jump in here.
Well, to go away from the rhetoric, when I watched Donald Trump interact with his Secret Service, especially in high-intensity moments like in Butler, and then also at the latest one this weekend, or last weekend, it drives me nuts, having done some security-type activities, that he doesn't, like, he stopped and wanted to make sure he got his shoes. I'm like, Secret Service guys, don't give him a chance to even worry about it. Like, pick the man up and get him out of the area. He is the president. And on the latest one, if you watch, they bring everybody in. They did have a problem not understanding for sure what the actual threat was, where it was coming from. If you watch the entire, I was amazed at the different levels of long rifled Secret Service and other members that were there. I was like, oh, that's interesting, which is sad that they were revealed so that the real threats out in the world are now aware. But he needs to realize that those people are there to keep him alive and follow their direction without question, just like J.D. Vance did. If you watch the whole thing, the guy touched him on the shoulder and said, "We're out of here," and Vance was gone. He's like, "I don't know what's going on. This is the guy that's keeping me safe." Might be part of partially that he was an enlisted soldier and we're better at taking commands and not stopping to think about it. You do it. But that's the one thing that continually drives me crazy with Donald Trump. He wants to do a fist pump and shout USA, and I'm like, no, there's a threat. We need to get you in a place where that threat is no longer an issue. And that's completely different than what we were talking about. When it comes after Butler, if you've noticed, Donald Trump, his rhetoric has been turned down. He's incapable of that counterpunching, but his rhetoric did change after that. That was a wake-up call to Donald Trump.
Well, and I also think I'm okay to add, and because he said this several times, that he believes his life was spared by God so he could continue to do what he believes he's called to do. All right, Dorsey.
Well, I have, and I think, completely different view from the group.
Gee, that's a new one.
Yeah, right. I have been dipping in and out of some of my Democratic friends' pages on what they're talking about, and normally I don't make mention. I just read what they're saying, just like I watch CNN and MSS. Just see what the other side's talking about. And I made the mistake of making a comment on one of these pages about, you guys need to take a pill. Take a chill pill. It ain't that serious, right?
I think I saw that.
Right. And you got 2.5 years. Suck it up like we did. Calm down. Go about your lives. You guys are going to give yourself strokes if you continue to live this way. And the verbal attacks that I got, it was insane. And so, and I mean, it was just very benign, just commenting on, take care of yourselves, take care of your families. You guys are entirely too hyped up on this. And the whole page just, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I watched it.
Dorsey, how dare you say something like that?
I know. So that's usually, I have my very strong opinions on a lot of things. But my point of the matter is, at the end of that whole conversation, I simply put in the chat, I'm not the enemy. We're not the enemy. And frankly, I'm tired of trying to prove that to you. So you go ahead and continue on with what you feel is appropriate in your life. But just be aware that me and people like me are prepared for anything that you might try to physically do to us from this point out. And left it at that.
You go, girl.
I got into a conversation the other day. This was eyeball to eyeball. You guys know him on our page, or he used to be on our page, Doug Olson. And the conversation that I had with Doug was, can we go back to what your side did to get Trump elected? Can we talk about the fact that we won the election and you don't get to pout and call names, and for God's sakes, you don't get to assassinate our president? And he kind of agreed that the Democratic Party screwed up in not only who they chose, but more so how they chose her. It should have been done months earlier. Everybody in the country knew that Joe was not doing well. I'm sorry some people were sarcastically critical of him. I've never been a big fan of Joe Biden's policies, but I think he's a nice guy, and I think he's a good dad, and I think he's a good husband, and he just spent about 4 years too long in politics. And, that's what happens to us. I watched my mom and dad, 2 years ago through this, just slowly just not being present. So I think
you're right, Mac. But it goes back even further than that. It goes back to Ronald Reagan. See, if the Republican candidates and leaders that we had voted to office, since I started voting in 1976, I voted for Gerald Ford, voted straight Republican since. If those candidates had went to D.C. and done what they said they would do, we would never have voted for Donald Trump. He wouldn't even have been a viable option.
That is true.
Reagan got snookered. He absolutely snookered. He gave amnesty out with the promise of border security, and we never got the border security. We got the amnesty, but we didn't get the security.
And they did it again in Bush.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Yeah, that was not the way to fix that problem.
No.
Steve,
I want to segue to something
hold on, Frank.
Okay.
Hold on just a second, please. Steve, I want to give you a chance to respond to anything that was said there, and then, Frank, we'll go to you with Barney Frank.
If we're still talking a little bit about the assassination attempt, correct me if I'm wrong, I saw some video last night of the guy running through the checkpoint with the
shotgun
metal detector. To me, that looked like something you'd see going into a concert, sort of a defense.
Yeah.
Did you see it was a who's who of power in Washington, in that building. I would have thought that the guy ran through and everybody's kind of looking like, what's going on? That did not look like a very secure perimeter, or at least staffing there. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody else thinks the same way.
You are not incorrect. The problem was, and this is one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of the ballroom, okay? Yeah. It was a public venue. It was a hotel, okay? And to your point, going to concerts and all of that, you walk through the metal detector. They don't pat you down. If you beep, great, and if you don't, okay, whatever. They ask you to open your purse. You have to, if you're a woman and you're carrying a purse, you have to take a purse they can see through. They call it a clear purse, and the like. So they set that up to try to be, in my opinion, as civilly open as possible, which was their first screw up. I personally, if I were Trump at this point, I would not allow the public to have any access to me at all. None. Absolutely nothing. Nothing in any public venues, nothing on the street, because people who mean him harm are relying on him trying to be amongst the people.
Yeah.
Accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Trump would never do that.
Yes, it absolutely is.
And if you look at the video, they were actually breaking down the magnetometers, the metal detectors. One was already completely down. Mm-hmm. The guy ran through the one. Most likely, and we shouldn't know the actual security protocols. So they're bringing the circle of protection in closer because everybody was in there. Who knows if you could actually go through the next level of doors, because somehow along the way they were able to tackle him or he fell and they got him on the ground. But when it comes to those types of security, like the guy was never on the same floor as the president, let alone everybody in the dinner. So they did actually do exactly what they were supposed to. The people that were there were, when you're standing there and nothing's happening, you don't expect anything. It takes time to react, but he got through into where it was close enough that they could hear, but that was all the closer he got.
So they were breaking down that perimeter. There was another perimeter that was inside. Any idea why this guy wasn't shot?
They tried. They missed.
Yeah.
But as someone who shoots guns, and that's what is so cool, that I think about Brad and the people that serve. It's hard as heck to shoot at a target that's not moving, let alone something that is.
Well, if you ever want to aim at something moving, I'll come down and run around for you.
No, that's okay.
In the thing, if you hit me, it's okay.
No, we don't do that. But, am I wrong, Brad? It's very difficult.
You're not. Even more so, like people are used to the limited number of people that actually take their weapon to the range and fire, do so in a calm and orderly fashion.
Right.
And these situations are never calm and orderly. You're on top of this, the Secret Service almost never has an actual person rushing at them or past them. Right. You have a giant adrenaline dump. Your fine motor skills crash, and you're not taking a deep breath. You're not focusing on your sights, and that takes years and years of practice, and most people don't practice that way, which they should, but most people don't.
Right.
Frank, I'll get to you in just a second. Larry, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Would it be a correct statement by me saying that the last president there was an assassination attempt on was Ronald Reagan?
No.
That's not correct? Okay.
No, it depends on your definition of assassination attempt. Barack Obama, for example, is credited with having an assassination attempt on him because a guy drove by on Connecticut Avenue and randomly fired rounds at the second floor of the White House. Now, Obama wasn't there at the time, and the windows of the White House are bulletproof. So, but that was still, they called it an assassination attempt. So in the great lineup of things, Donald Trump is the only president that has survived 3 assassination attempts.
There's 4.
Lincoln actually had.
Why are they 4?
Yeah,
and possibly 4, again, depending on your somebody having a gun and being in proximity too.
Well, they was trying to track that guy at an Arizona rally or something that was loose on the facility that supposedly had made a threat against Trump's life, so I count that as 4.
Well,
I don't say he's talking about the same thing I am, but...
Again, it depends on your definition of that. An attempt is when you're in proximity, shots are fired, or where you're absolutely defined as a threat. And yes, I mean, you could call it 4. Lincoln was the only one that survived 2 attacks, but unfortunately didn't survive the 3rd, so he's not in that club.
Again, and if you look at what Lincoln was facing as the president at that time, I think it would be very much equal or comparable to what the Trump administration is facing.
I agree.
A lot of enemies.
I agree.
Yeah, there are a lot of plots and there are a lot of plans, but the actual attempts, legitimate attempts, are minimal. Remember that this guy at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, he booked into the motel or the hotel almost 2 or 3 days in advance, so he'd be there. He came down a back elevator that wasn't normally for people, And when he came to the metal detector, the magnetometer, he exposed his weapon, ran through, and as he was running through, even in the video that everybody sees, he actually fired that shotgun and hit one of the agents, fortunately, in his ballistic vest.
Yeah.
So, and at that point in time, that obviously surprised everybody. And as Brad said, in the line of fire is different from talking about the line of fire.
Right.
So, I think.
And Dorsey, I agree with you kind of on he needs to keep himself safe. He's got a responsibility for that. Mm-hmm. I think that's the Superman in him, that he's going to think he's weak if he's not out there with the people. I think, I don't know.
I think he's giving people the middle finger when he does it.
Okay, well, but I agree. I wish he'd just stay down,
I think quite the opposite. I think, again, it's perspective, and I understand. But for Donald Trump, for any leader in that position, he has to project the image of being unable to be defeated. And when he got up and shook his fist, I think that was being presidential. I think that was telling people, look, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Don't worry. And at the White House Correspondents' Dinner again, he did not panic. I think he counts on his protection, the Secret Service, well as private bodyguards.
Well, and I think what's interesting is he wanted to do the event that night.
Yeah.
We got the guy. Let's all get back in the ballroom and let's have our evening. And now he's saying he's going to do it again in 30 days or whatever.
Yeah, the image, the presidential image that he wants to project is that of being unshakable.
Yeah.
And I think he's done that. I think that has been successful.
Yeah. Okay, Frank, you wanted to talk about something Barney Frank said, kind of in the same arena?
Well, not in the same thing, but if Dorsey can look on my Facebook page, he can find the article on my page and reference it. Basically, this is how powerful the Democrats are, if you have any doubt. Because I want to address a point Dorsey made of the incoming that she takes if she just says something just as simple as you need to take a chill pill. She ain't whatever. I mean, I wore out, in 8 years, I wore out remotes on my TV, muting Obama. I just sucked it up, and I waited till I could vote against the guy, and I voted against him, twice. But Barney Frank has come out, and this is how powerful Democrats are, and I'd even like to bring John Fetterman in the conversation. This guy is now coming out. He's on his hospice bed, so he's in home hospice, so I'm guessing the guy's on his last leg of life.
Are you talking about Barney Frank?
Hey, Frank.
Yeah, okay.
And he is coming out, and he is suggesting that Democrats are way too divisive. They are alienating their voters with stuff like defund the police, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He's progressives. He's identifying progressives as being way too radical. The Democrats need to get control of this, or they're going to continue to lose elections. But the guy is on his deathbed to say it. And that speaks volumes to me, because this guy is so afraid of his own party that he don't feel like he's comfortable coming out and saying something against them. John Fetterman talking about, that guy is talked about some of the stuff that's been said about him. They hope he'll have a stroke. They hope he'll choke to death on his puke. They just say some of the most vile, nasty stuff about John Fetterman, because it seems like that since the further he's getting in the rearview mirror from his original stroke, the more sane he sounds. Yeah. The guy is really a better politician than I ever gave him credit for. Not because so much he supported Israel and he supported Trump in a couple of things, et cetera, but the guy sounds more sane, more logical. Now the left is unloading on him like crazy. They're calling for primaries. Oh, he needs to die. He needs to die most terrible death you've ever heard. And he talks about this stuff. So if it takes being on your deathbed for Barney Frank to come out and say something negative against the Democratic Party, and Steve, brother, this ain't the party that you came up in. I'm not saying maybe the right right wing ain't hijacked. I'm just as fearful of the right wing majority, the moral majority, as I am the radical Antifa left. I don't want either one of those guys determining policy in the country. But what happened to your party? What happened to your party, man? I don't think John Kennedy could get voted in this party today.
Steve, I'll turn over to you.
Well, there are some things I agree with on that, and I would say the same thing about MAGA. I don't think the Republican Party is anything like it was during back to Reagan or George H.W. Bush. Things have shifted, and I think too that the ability to espouse crap has been given to everybody with a keyboard, and everything is amplified, and everything is pushed out, and suddenly everybody's got an opinion, and there are just a lot of people who just lack any kind of common sense or couth, and they're being magnified. I still think the vast majority of people, I look at democracy like a big ship, and you can't turn it quick. It takes compromise, and it takes give and take to make things work. And you're not going to get everything you want all at once. Sometimes you got to give a little to get a little. But we're in this position like we've got to get it now. We've got to take it now while we've got the power. And that's not how democracy works. It's a very slow-moving mechanism.
Yeah.
But as far as these people calling for Fetterman to have another stroke or to die, those are just some people that really, well, they shouldn't have a keyboard.
They're mentally ill.
Okay, now let's...
Again, mental health is a big issue in this country. I think we need to look at that a lot more.
Yeah, all right. So now, kind of on the same topic, let's segue to what James Comey did with the Seashells. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is he should be convicted of threatening the president, to 1, oh, get over it, let's move on. Where do you guys think that is?
Can I start first?
Sure, Frank. You've started first on every topic today, so let's not break a record here.
Okay, let's not break a record. Look at the source. This is the director of the FBI, and for him to plead ignorance that he don't know what 86 means or something, and I would just love, I don't know how close he was to a ring bell camera or whatever, but the ice on the cake for me would be as if some video caught him arranging them shells himself.
Well,
but this guy
he's admitted he did it, didn't he? I don't think...
No, he just found it.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Oh, he just found it.
He was walking on the shore, and he just stumbled across this and decided to take a picture of it because, well, isn't this cool or isn't this something? Or, I mean, if you go across the salt flats in Utah, you can see all kinds of rocks and bottles and stuff assembled, whatever. I'm not saying he did it, but if somehow it's proven that he arranged it, this guy, he is so smug and arrogant and self-righteous that he considered himself the last good stand-up man on earth. And the guy literally lied to Congress twice. I don't know if you guys know the story of they went to a FISA court to start all this spying on Donald Trump in his campaign, and they started on a dude named Carter Page, who was an asset for the CIA. And John Durham and Tom Fenton, Freedom of Information Acts, has revealed all this stuff. And they even prosecuted the lawyer that changed the email. But they went and Comey swore before Charles Grassley that he's never been the source of a leak. And he leaked that thing out that he wanted to get out to his friends, so he lied about that. But furthermore, they leaked a story to Michael Isikoff at Yahoo News about Carter Page being some kind of a double agent or whatever. Larry would know the technicalities of this stuff. But you're working for both sides. He was a CIA asset, but he was something else. And so they leaked a story to Michael Isikoff at Yahoo News News, and they went into a FISA court and they used the Michael Isikoff story as a independent source. This is why I get kind of frustrated sometimes when I hear this stuff about independent sources, because was there ever really any? Even when Walter Cronkite was around. Maybe they were just all talking to themselves anyway. But they leaked this story. They went into a FISA court and gave this as an independent source for the fact of Carter Page to get this warrant on him to spy on him. So the guy is dirty. The guy is the most powerful police agent in the country, and we're going to say he's ignorant and he don't know what 8647 means.
Well,
I don't buy it.
If he claims, and I want to go to you next, Larry, please, and then Brad. If he claims in court under oath that was sitting there and he just took a picture of it, isn't there still some accountability for taking that and putting it out publicly? I mean, I think about the father whose son killed a bunch of people, and they told the father because he bought the gun for him, he's got liability, and now he's going to go to prison. I mean, at some point in this country, it seems that we've allowed the folks in the peanut gallery to be held accountable when someone's threatened someone or someone hurts someone. Now, Larry, I want you to jump in here and just kind of straighten things out and make sure we're all talking about the same thing.
Well, as I'm sure Steve knows and can tell you, lies in the legal system, there are lies and then there are material lies. And basically lies that they don't prosecute are lies that have no value criminally. So if Comey says he was just walking along and he saw it and took a picture of it versus somebody seeing him arranging it, that would be a material or a lie. A material lie is if he had arranged it and then put it out on a broadcast, which is what he did. Yeah, I mean, he took the picture, and so he arranged it, and so that's the difference in legal terms is lie versus material lie. And material lies are normally prosecutable, or at least can be penalized, where a lie normally isn't, unless, and here's where we start getting thick again, if it's under oath. And under oath, you better be squeaky clean. And most of the lies that are told under oath are told by omission. They say, well, I don't remember that, or not to my recollection, or simply I don't remember that. So unfortunately, the truth has become so convoluted that it's difficult to extract it. And in Comey's position, I agree that this guy was responsible for falsifying FISA reports or reports that go to a FISA judge and using that then to investigate a political opponent of his administration. So I personally think, he was definitely involved in it, and it's simply not believable that he didn't have that in mind as he was doing it, or to prosecute a political opponent.
Brad, jump in here and talk to me a little bit about this from the military viewpoint.
There's really no military viewpoint. My personal viewpoint is they're barking up the wrong tree. This is should be not even a sideshow, because what they're trying to do is bringing in freedom of speech and everything. Where his real problems, from where I sit, were as the director of the FBI, you cannot be releasing classified and top secret information to the press by going through a cutout, and that we know he did. That's highly illegal, highly inappropriate, and he was doing a lot of it to cover his own backside for his role in the FBI under the direction of the Obama administration on spying on the future president of the United States in his political campaign. So they need to like shift the focus. I'm not sure why they're doing this, because I would think that the people know. My guess is that they're trying to eventually put enough pressure on him that he caves and starts giving up names of the people that they really want to go after. But that's just me guessing from the outside.
Steve, I'll give you the last word on this.
I think it's beneath the office, even if it's his prior office of the director of the FBI, to post something like that. It's stupid. You know, a lot of politicians like to forward things they've seen online, thinking it's funny, this or that, not realizing sometimes they're naive as to what that really is, what they're posting. I think it was dumb. But as far as do I think what he posted was tantamount to calling for the assassination of the president, I'd give that 0.
Yeah.
I've never, ever considered 86 to mean assassination or killing. You could think anything you want. If you really disagree with it, you could twist logic to make it fit whatever you want. But it was just get rid of the guy. He needs to be out of there.
Well, and I think for the president to have his Department of Justice go after him for that.
And that was what my next point is.
That's petty
I would
to
say
me.
a 10 being a ridiculousness. It's a waste of taxpayer dollars. If you want to go after Comey, go after him for some things that you might find a lot more legitimate than posting some seashells.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was
Dorsey, if you want to get in there, go ahead.
Oh, gee, thanks, Frank.
Well, I hadn't heard from her, so I didn't want to jump on her, so
You're good.
I'll get her in.
You're good. My opinion is this is one of the reasons why the other side of the aisle is always talking about how Trump is using his power to politicize and go after people that he doesn't like.
Yeah.
That's what it presents. And to Steve's point, to Steve's point, if they're going to go after Comey because he's a bad man, and he is a bad man, what he did was horrible. They should go after the stuff that's meat and potatoes, and not this fluff stuff that makes Trump look, petty.
Yeah.
It does.
I think it is petty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, especially with the new acting AG, you don't want to come out. You want to show some legitimacy and you want to show some competence.
Right.
And this is not one of the first things I'd want to do
I
as
agree.
acting AG.
Well, I don't know. I don't know anything, but I think that probably was one of the reason Pam Bondi left, because Trump wanted her to do this, and she just, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And luckily, they were close enough as friends that even though they say she was fired, on the day that he, quote unquote, fired her, she already had a position lined up, a fairly high position, not in the government. So, yeah. Okay, Frank, I'll give you 3 seconds.
1, 2, 3.
Time up.
Look, I think Comey just needs to be hung by his own petard. The things he did to Michael Flynn, I mean, it's being revealed. There's emails that's come out that's been released by Freedom of Information or something here just in the last couple of days that supposedly has suggested that they wanted to hang Michael Flynn either on the Logan Act, which is something they've never done. Larry could probably talk to the Logan Act, or a perjury trap. They were precisely going after the guy for a perjury trap. They bankrupted the guy. They threatened to go after his children. All I want to see Comey do, or Letitia James, or Alvin Bragg, or any of these people, the woman down in Georgia, Fannie Willis, whatever her name is, all I want to see these people do is have to go through the same thing, spend the same kind of money to defend themselves, whether they ever spend a day in jail or not, for the sake of people like Rod Roger Stone, for the sake of people like Giuliani, for the sake of people like Mike Flynn, for the sake of people, Steve Bannon, and some of these people that they went after. If you was in Trump's orbit, if you were a lawyer defending him, my God, we're given a right to have a defense lawyer in this country. Even the most heinous criminal on this planet is in our country, I should say, is entitled to a public defender, a defense. But when somebody defends Donald Trump, they turn around and try to bar them, bar their lawyer's license, prosecute them, jail, whatever. And it's not right. And they want to talk about, again, this moral equivalation that Trump's trying to, what's the term, to do something to the legal system. I can't think of the term, criminalize the legal system or something.
Yeah.
But this is what Biden administration done to all the Trump people in his orbit. And if anything comes out of this, I just want to see Comey have to wiggle just like Mike Flynn had to do and cop to a plea deal to keep his kids from being prosecuted for some ridiculous nonsense.
All right.
Michael Flynn is about as squeaky clean as there is, and Comey made that guy out to be the next Adolf Hitler.
Okay. Short for a moment, for those of you listening or watching this program, we're called Point, CounterpointUSA.com. You can check us out on the website. We are a mixed bunch of conservatives and Republicans and liberals and MAGA and Democrats, and we only have two rules around here. We don't swear, and we try to talk about policy more than we do personalities.
We also have an independent.
Who's that?
And libertarian.
And a libertarian.
Who's the independent? Are you independent?
Brad.
Brad's the independent.
Oh, Brad. Oh, I don't think of him as an independent.
Well, that's what he identifies as.
I know, but I think I'm trying to compliment.
And everybody's got a streak of libertarian in them.
I think so too.
Amen.
And I think we all have streaks of independence in us as well.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I just see Brad, I've known him so long and I care about him so much. I just think his knowledge of the military and how he can talk to me like I'm an 8-year-old and make sense of it, that's what I see Brad's wonderful gift to this program is. So, all right, I'm going to go to Larry now. Now, Frank, if you need to take a bathroom break, feel free and we can meet you next Friday. Larry, talk to me about the War Powers Act. You brought that up today.
Well, we've always had a War Powers Act, but it's really never been enforced since World War II. The War Powers Act hasn't been invoked since World War II. And
you mean World War XI, don't you?
Yes, World War XI, exactly.
Man, I can't believe that chick.
I know. I'm sorry.
I cannot believe
anyway,
it.
Go ahead.
It's hard to keep a straight face.
Sorry.
But the fact of the matter is that Korea, Vietnam, the Indochina, the Philippines, the first Gulf War, the second Gulf War, the police actions in Afghanistan, all of those went on literally for years, using men and other resources, and it was just fine. And now all of a sudden, a certain segment of Congress wants to invoke the War Powers Act that they have to approve the action. And that was one of the things that, when you looked at it, basically the military, the in-country actions stopped after about 60 days. I mean, that's technically according to the rule. And then it became an economic sanction. And of course, Israel is still doing what they do. As they're attacked, they reply. But even if they invoke the War Powers Act at this point, probably all it would do is make it more difficult to prosecute Iran economically. And that's what the president's doing. Vietnam, Korea, those were all police actions. And they lasted for, in Vietnam, obviously, better than a decade. So, and Afghanistan has been going on for, 15 years?
Yeah.
In and out of there.
Well, Korea's been going on since the early 50s, right? That's
Yeah,
75, 70, 80 years ago.
Yeah, and we don't physically attack North Korea anymore. South Korea has become an ally. But it became an ally because the U.S. was involved in separating them from North Korea and protecting them. So I think it's disingenuous. And again, this is one of those, I take a swing at somebody, he beats the daylights out of me, and then I come back and say, we've got to stop this violence. So, and in this particular case, Iran has been taking a swing at us for 47 years or 49 years, a huge amount of time. And all of a sudden, this president, unlike any other president before, slaps him to the ground and says, no, you can't do this. And all of a sudden, the world is upset that somebody actually finally did something, and it's because it's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
If Biden had gone in and done that, Democrats would have been fine with it. Even if Obama or even Bush, when he did it, everybody said, no, that's fine. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
It's disingenuous. It's politically based, and let the guy do what he knows how to do. And he is putting an incredible hurt on not only Iran, but China as well. The Venezuela issue, again, that hurt Cuba, Russia, and China.
Yeah.
Iran, again, Cuba, Russia, and China. So, and the people of those countries want it. The people there want him to be there. They love him. So, and we could have a regime change that is legitimately done by the people, which it appears is moving forward all the time.
Yeah. All right.
So that's my thought on it.
If anybody wants to comment on that, we can. Otherwise, I need to back up a little bit. I want to talk about, for a second, about what Jimmy Kimmel said. Should there be any retribution or any punishment or anything for him saying what he did?
No.
No?
No.
Not from the government.
No.
Okay. How about from ABC?
No.
No?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. ABC, NBC, CBS, they are governed by the FCC.
Right.
Okay. I believe, Larry, correct me if I'm wrong, that you still have to follow somewhat of a morality clause when you're in that realm.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
So calling for the assassination of a public official or making statements, because the statement that he made was, she's beautiful, she has the glow of an expected widow.
Widow, yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
And I know that if I was working for a company, even as an independent contractor, and I put something like that out on Facebook, and my employer saw that, they would fire me.
Yeah.
They would fire me.
Yeah.
May I ask a question?
Say again?
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
What if Sean Hannity said the exact same thing about Michelle and Barack Obama? What do you think would happen to Sean Hannity?
He should be fired. And Fox would have fired him. Fox has gotten rid of some people who have said some pretty crazy things. Tucker Carlson was released.
Yep.
And now
Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly. I mean, they said things that were inappropriate, and they were released.
Steve, let me ask you a question, if I can, please, because you're an entertainer, and you are a very good, and you're very professional. Would you have said something like that in a show of yours?
Oh.
No, I would not have. But, coming just prior to that, another assassination attempt, again, it's a volatile climate right now, and I would personally be a little bit more choosy about how I would do things. That's just me. But related to the comment about
Michelle and Barack Obama. Again, with Kimmel, just as I did with Comey, I didn't think that was anything other than the fact that Trump is a lot older than she is. And everybody jokes, everybody's joking about Biden's health and Biden's demise and all this stuff and his cognitive abilities. It's no lie that Donald Trump doesn't have the best diet in the world. He's overweight. I think that was where he was going with that. Nothing more sinister, I think. Would I have done it? No.
Okay. All right.
Steve, all things considered, you're right. The timing was really abhorrent on that. But the FCC requires broadcasters to operate in the public interest. And that's the rule on that. There are certain things that can be censored, obviously, but it's operating in the public interest. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the entertainment industry shouldn't be run necessarily by the government, but it should be run by public input. And in the case of something like this, just with Kathy Griffin and the severed head, way over the top. Yes, it was art. Maybe it was comedy to some people. But when Jimmy Kimmel said that, especially after two previous attempts on the president's life, that becomes an issue. The Secret Service or the U.S. Code has very strict guidelines about making threats against the president. And this considers implied threats as well as implicit threats. So if you just walk down the street and you say, I'm going to kill the president, you can be investigated and most likely will be.
Larry, atmosphere, can you say bomb on a plane?
No, absolutely not.
No. Say fire in a theater.
No.
There was an old joke running around where the guy went into the airport and he saw a friend of his and he goes, "Hi, Jack." And he didn't last long, obviously. He didn't make his flight. So that's along the same thing. But again, they have to operate in the public interest. It's not in the public interest to foment violence or to recommend, suggest, or otherwise support the assassination or the death, especially of a president of the United States. That's a very sensitive topic.
You're listening to Larry Sloan right there. Steve Barry is another one of the voices. Frank the Verse. Thomas is Vorse. And, of course, we have Army Brad. And then Dorsey is in the studio as well as I am as Mac McCoy.
What's Dorsey's nickname?
What?
What's Dorsey's nickname?
I don't know that I have
Army
one.
Brad. Frank the Verse.
It's beautiful. Her nickname's beautiful.
Oh, thank
Beautiful
you.
Dorsey.
When it comes to Dorsey, I'm really careful. She's sitting way too close, and she carries. You guys on the
she
phone.
Might whack you with something. She might reach over and whack you.
Oh, yeah, and she would, too. Okay. Either Dorsey or Larry or both of you, I want you to help me understand what's going on business-wise in the Strait of Hormuz.
Great stuff.
Yeah, can you...
Go ahead, Dorsey. I'll follow you.
Okay. And please keep me honest, because I haven't watched for a day. So... basically, what is happening now is that Iran is basically choking on its own oil now. Their reserves are full. If they can't get that oil out of there, they have to stop pumping. Once they stop pumping, I'm told that they start running the risk of getting water in the oil, which then makes it unmarketable.
Okay.
I'm hearing in different sources that they are actually, there are ships going through. I believe Trump had said that he was thinking about setting up an armada to escort ships through.
Yeah, okay.
And... but basically, Iran is they've got horrible inflation now. They're not in a good spot. And I believe someone told me that that's not true. I believe I read that the CIA is actually in there arming people now.
Okay.
So
to throw over
to overthrow
the government.
Right. And that a lot of the military have actually abandoned their posts.
Okay.
I did also, I have a couple of people from Iran that I follow, and they're very angry with the mainstream media over here because they feel that they are telling the U.S. citizens that we are losing the war when it's the exact opposite.
Yeah, the people are winning it.
Right. And so their basic story was, don't believe anything that you're seeing from mainstream media about Iran because it's not true. It is a shambles. They are starting to arm, and they're frustrated because they don't understand why the people that they say are supposed to be for the downtrodden and everything, why they are intentionally trying to keep people who are killing their own citizens in power. So,
all right, I'll turn it over to you, Larry.
Well, Dorsey is exactly right on everything. The
on everything, just on that topic.
I'll follow her anywhere. Iran, their economy is really very fragile. The major products, if you look at exports from Iran, it includes ethyl polymers, iron ore, and petroleum gas. Most oil products. The primary export destinations were China, Turkey, and Pakistan. So, of course, Pakistan is interested in getting this solved because they get a lot of their oil from Iran. And China, they were getting like 20% of their oil from Venezuela and 20% of their oil from Iran.
Yeah.
They're getting neither of those anymore. So I think somewhere down the line, figs are an export from them, but I don't think that's going to carry their economy. The currency in Iran is called the rial, and the rial has been devalued now on all the national markets as well. So now even the dollars that they had are worth a third less than they were, and it's going down rapidly. So by doing a naval blockade or by doing a blockade and not allowing products in, which help them, or products out for sale, it just absolutely strangles their economy. As Dorsey had mentioned, also, of course, their leadership is seriously fractured. There is constant infighting between the civilian leaders, the religious leaders, and the military leaders. And the military has been winning so far, but they've become so decentralized and so weak, they're not even taking them seriously anymore. And the people of Iran are looking at this and waiting for their moment. And I think the soldiers, once they see the people rise, I think the soldiers will turn as well, because the ground pounders, the boots on the ground people, they're not going to be loyal to the regime if the regime is out of power.
Okay, now let me...
go ahead.
Let me ask you this, and then, Steve, I know that you need to move on, and I'd like you to comment it before you go, please. Isn't this...
That sounds great.
What? Hello?
I'm on the road now.
You're on the road?
Well, I'm heading to my setup for my event tonight, so I'm listening.
Okay.
Very closely to everything going on.
All right, so I'll just go real quick to you. Don't you think this is rather masterful of the president going about it this way rather than eliminating their culture from the face of the earth?
Of course, absolutely. And a lot of it's going to come down to how it actually does turn out. I hope that what Larry was saying as far as how things may end up on the ground with the people in the country, we know that Iran is full of people who do want freedom, regime change. And if it can be done without that, again, the chest pounding that Trump was talking about earlier, doing it very strategically and very quickly, I think Trump is going to come out of this looking great. I certainly hope that's the case.
Yeah. Well, Steve, thanks for joining us today. You go do what you need to do. We look forward to talking to you again next week, and we all appreciate you being here. You're a great part of our team.
Always a pleasure hanging with you folks on Fridays. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Steve.
Okay, now, Brad, I want to go to you because...
I had something.
Go
I
ahead.
had something for Leonard first. He mentioned Iran and their exports of oil went to mainly one country, but he listed three. The difference between Turkey, Pakistan, and China is Pakistan and Turkey have land borders and pipelines that would still allow them to ship oil to those two countries. And the geopolitical thing that people are continually missing on the takedown of Venezuela and the blockade of Iran is that our number one geopolitical enemy or opponent is getting massive body blows with oil being cut off to China. It puts us in such a strong position in the world that I'm almost wondering if the whole reason we're beyond the nuclear material in Iran isn't just to weaken China, which is a good thing for Americans.
Okay. Yeah, we don't hear a lot about that. At least not from, I think this panel has some very intelligent people on it when it comes to this. And I think that I feel, as one, very fortunate to have you guys around because I needed that. I needed you to explain that to me, Dorsey, like I was an 8-year-old. And you did perfect. I just don't think most people understand the brain, not the brains. What's it, Brad? What is the strategic?
The strategy.
The strategy? Okay.
Sure.
Of what this administration is.
Can I ask Brad and Larry and Dorsey a question?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. I read an article on Newser yesterday. I was just trying to find it. My phone's not working real well right now. Try to say that fast 2 times in a row. The idea that, and I don't know who brought this up, we're winning, but we're really losing. And exposing our weaknesses and how we can be taken down with drone technology. And I said, well, Trump holds the ultimate trump card. He can always nuke them back to whatever, and there goes their people, there goes their military, there goes their drones, there goes whatever, So does anybody consider some of the rhetoric and some of the stuff that tries to expose the weakness of the United States military as something prosecutable? Stuff that, Abe Lincoln, habeas corpus, I think, put away some of his enemies that were bad-mouthing things. In today's society, could that possibly be done when people are writing articles trying to expose our flank, so to speak, that, they're just tearing us up with their drone technology?
Well, we're all old enough, maybe not Brad, but we're all old enough to remember that we had this discussion during the Vietnam War when they had the embedded press with the troops, right?
Yep.
And which gave away positions and artillery and, all of that. And I in my personal opinion, it's a little more nefarious because mainstream media really doesn't have the well-being of the United States citizens at heart, in my opinion. I believe the press in this country is the number one enemy of the American people at this point in time.
Well, let me rephrase it, and I think you're hitting on what I'm trying to hit on. Like Jane Fonda,
Right.
is the media given aid and comfort by telling these stories how the United States is really losing when they're pounding these people back to the Stone Age? Is that something that could be prosecuted?
No, because they are reporting facts along with opinion, right? So, yeah, we're bombing the stuffing out of them. However, their opinion is we're losing. So, I mean, and that's how they get away with what they're doing. They are reporting facts.
Brad, jump in here, would you? What's your thought from the military standpoint?
One thing that I think we need to, or not necessarily this group, but the United States military needs to work on, and I know for a fact that they already are, is drone technology is the future of warfare. And the United States Marine Corps has shifted from using heavy armor like the M1 Abrams tank to more drone, lighter fighting abilities, and we'll see that grow ever more in the military as the Ukraine and Iran have proven. But the one thing that all these quote, air quote experts are missing is we're waging a war halfway across the world against the military that's fighting on their home ground, and we're dominating them. The logistics of the United States is what makes us the most powerful country in the world. The Russians struggle to fight a war on their own border. So the logistics that they don't have is a giant reason why the Ukraine-Russian war has gone on for years. So,
well, and
go ahead.
Well, aren't we correct in assuming that a lot of these drones are being flown out of SAC here in Omaha, Strategic Air Command?
I'm not going to comment on anything on where they may or may not be.
He's not going to be able to tell you any of that information.
All right.
You don't need to know. Love you, but
okay. Larry, do you still love me? What do you think?
In a very manly way, Mac. A very manly way.
Hey, bro.
The U.S. military and economy even is thriving on conflict because it allows us to polish our skills. It increases our technological abilities, and we find our own weak spots when we're performing in the field. And that is worth its weight in gold. Always after wars, normally, there is a post-war slight depression because we after World War II, we brought back literally hundreds of thousands of soldiers and depressed the job markets back here. And, during the war economy, of course, we had production ramped up. Factories, instead of producing local goods, were producing materials for the military, and production was at its peak. So in some ways, conflict is a benefit to us as much as it's an asset in other ways. So in this particular case, we rule the air. We rule the sea. And there's no other country in the world that can stand with us on the ground technologically. So, yes, there are reporters, and this is very sad, that inject their personal opinions into what they report. And it's all done to further an agenda here at home. But it also, as Brad was saying, and Dorsey was saying, and Frank, it also, unfortunately, enables our opponents across the world to grab onto things and say, well, yeah, this is bad, this is terrible, when it's, in fact, it's a molehill instead of a mountain.
Well, do you you guys remember when they were bombing the things in Iraq, the underground facilities, and they were trying to release information how deep our bunker buster bombs could reach? They were trying to speculate on this stuff on the news networks because they're just looping and looping and looping and showing you something again and again and again. They ain't got nothing to talk about, so they bring in these retired generals and they start yammering about how deep our bunker buster bombs can reach. And somebody made the point that why are we saying this kind of stuff? Because at the time, Iran was taking note, and they was having French consultation in building their below-ground facilities, and they were going to try to build them just that much deeper than our bunker buster bombs could reach. Say that 3 times real quick. Who's these seashells on the seashore?
Yeah.
But this is the kind of stuff. And then you had Geraldo Rivera over in the first Gulf excursion, and I think he was waiting out on a beachhead for us to land on a beach, and then he got in trouble by giving some troop movements, and they had to kick him out. I think this stuff, I think somebody should be made an example of.
Well, the
you
thing
can't go around spilling our national secrets on TV.
Well, number one, it's not a national secret, right?
Okay.
I don't necessarily think there's, and Brad can correct me, and he probably will, because I'm probably wrong, but especially with the use of AI anymore, there's not a whole lot of guesswork involved in a lot of our technology, right? And I honestly remember times when our government intentionally put out misinformation for people to try to build their defenses with. Yep. So, I mean, it is what it is, right?
Well, we have to remember at one point there are countries that thought a foot of concrete would stop most bombs. So we just made a bigger bomb or improved the technology. Now 10 feet of concrete really isn't enough anymore.
No.
So they're going to run out of concrete eventually or other materials. So it really, I mean, that's the escalation part of war. If a deep hole won't protect me, I'll just build it deeper.
Right.
And that's a fallacy that eventually we all get around.
Okay,
well, that's been a truth since the beginning of recorded time. As one person has a weapon, the other side creates a defense.
Yep.
That causes the other side to improve their weapon. And the people that actually know the actual penetration depth of these bunker busters, they're not telling them. So they're speculating. And the people that are taught, I remember during the Iran-Contra, my first job in the Army was a heavy anti-armor infantry soldier, which meant I was on the TOW missile system. And I heard the experts talking about the TOW missile, talking about how it was 2,000 pounds. And I was like, man, I didn't know I was that strong, because I lift that up onto the weapon system and into the storage racks. I was like, I didn't know I could lift 2,000 pounds. I don't know anybody that can. And they were so wrong, and they were supposed to be experts, and now the world that listens to them are just as wrong. So,
Very
all
true.
right, let's wrap up today's show. A couple quick comments from folks. Should we still be in NATO? Dorsey, you go ahead and take that.
No.
No, Larry?
I don't think it serves much of a purpose anymore, but they need us. And as Root put it, we need them and they need us. So it's lopsided. But, Root came out, the head of the UN. Was it UN? Or is it NATO? I don't remember.
NATO.
Had said that they couldn't defend Europe without the United States.
How about you, Brad?
I think he's right.
NATO lost its whole purpose with the fall of the Soviet Union and the destruction of the Warsaw Pact. There's nothing that's negative in keeping all of us as supposed allies. I did think it was funny when the Greenland whole discussion was taking place that people forgot that the United States has been providing 100% of the defense and protection of Greenland since 1940, and they were sending 24 NATO advisors to Greenland, and the United States military had been there for 60 years. So, we don't need NATO. It's nice, and I know that having American soldiers forward in those bases is good for our projection of power. But if NATO is more valuable to them than it is to us.
Frank, real quick, yes or no?
I'm with Dorsey. I say hell no. We need out. We need out of the UN. We need out of NATO. We need, Germany just come up insulting us this week, saying something negative about Trump. I think we need to pull our troops out of a lot of places and let these people fend for themselves if they think we're such a negative influence in the world.
Okay, one of the topics you wanted to talk about for a second, Dorsey, were CDC lawsuits on the vaccines.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, please.
All right, so there's 2 doctors right now that are suing the CDC because they tried to publish information during COVID about vaccine harms. With the COVID vaccine, with the polio, with all of the vaccines in the children's vaccine schedule.
Okay.
And they were saying how it was causing autism, and they had all of these facts and everything, and the CDC took their licenses.
Okay.
Okay. So now that the department is actually stuffing people who don't agree with the previous administration's line, they're suing. And from the stuff that I've been reading, there's going to be a whole lot of people going down over this. Fauci's main guy was arrested.
Yep.
For falsifying.
Just this last week.
Yeah. For falsifying documents on COVID. So, and, when I started hearing about Fauci at the first of this, I actually went and investigated him and his career. And he did some pretty heinous stuff with the HIV research. He's not a good dude. He's not a good dude.
All right. Anybody else have any thoughts on that they want to share?
Well, my child was born in 1979. The girl was the most healthy, creative, talented kid I'd ever seen in my life. She was quiet. We literally didn't think she had tear ducts because she didn't cry. I mean, I never seen a tear come out of the girl's eye for a long time. And when she started getting the childhood vaccines, that's when things started ramping up and changing her demeanor and changing her health patterns a little bit. And then, of course, you go from mother's milk, you go to formula, and then you go to, cow's milk, which has got allergens in it that we really don't need. But I'm not against vaccines, but I'm not against looking at them. And somehow the mere looking at them and suggesting that something might be causing our autism and causing some of the medical problems we have. Maybe it's the forever chemicals in the water. Maybe it's the chemtrails in the air. Who knows what it is? But the fact that we're looking makes you some kind of a denier RFK is a nut job. This sort of stuff is what you get on social media. And I just want to make one little point about the World War XI. I had a gal on Facebook tell me that there was 11 assassination attempts against Obama. I said, name the time, the place, and name them, because I'd like to see them. You know, you shot your mouth off and said they were there. Let's see them. But that's just a side note. But I think there's nothing wrong with double-checking the science, so to speak, on this vaccination stuff.
Larry, your thoughts?
Oh, medicine has come a long ways, and there's no doubt about it. And I was in a discussion the other day about Washington using cowpox as a shield against smallpox. They're part of the same virus. One is lethal and the other is not. But those were all applied after, in Washington's case, it was brand new. But when people talk about the smallpox vaccination today, it's been around for 225 years. The polio vaccines that we had in the 50s, not without incident, not without their failures. Again, students getting those today, they've got 70 years of background and study and testing. The COVID vaccine, which I am proudly, by the way, unjabbed.
As am I.
Yep, there you go. The COVID vaccine was not tested properly. Now we're finding out this David Morenz, he's the one that concealed the record of the failure. They started trying to test them on horses, but they couldn't. They had to end the study because the horses kept dying. So all of those things were quietly shuffled under the carpet.
Right.
The idea that you can change the RNA in the body without changing the DNA is a fallacy. RNA basically are instructions for DNA and how things react. So if you try to change one, there's a chain effect, there's a domino effect on that, and of course it goes down. And you don't know what else they put into these things, and I personally don't trust the government. And now, after seeing what the CDC and the NIH were involved in, I'm probably never going to trust them again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, yes, by all means, let's have the research and let's have the experimentation, but I want it to take years.
Well, and, I have these conversations with a lot of my friends who are in the health industry, right? And I am very anti-vaccine. And the reason why I am that way, even though my children were born in 80 and 82, so they got their first series when they were infants, and even then we had to cut the doses in half, and I had to take them in twice because I couldn't tolerate it. So they got their first series, and back then, praise God, I could get a medical exemption. So I didn't vaccinate my children after that. And, one thing that kind of bothers me about Americans in this day and age is they're getting very lazy about not questioning anything, which was something else that we were going to talk about. Because I am a person of color, and this is discussed amongst people in my community ad nauseum, which is why we had the lowest vaccination rate when it came to COVID. The government did something called the Tuskegee experiment. And what they did was they found a group of black men who had syphilis and told them that they were going to give them medication to cure them, and they didn't do it. And the study was supposed to last for 90 days. And they started that in 1950 something, I think it was. And they didn't stop the experiment until 1972.
Wow.
Okay? And they basically used this group to see what syphilis does to people untreated.
Oh.
Okay? And that was government sanctioned. The government did that. So every time the government comes to me and says, you have to take this because we say so, I tell the government to go pound sand.
And not only that, but the LSD experiments they were doing on troops in the military that was non-consensual. There's very good reason not to trust the government.
Brad, you got some thought on this?
The vaccine from where I was sitting was almost worse than the actual disease. Yes, COVID was bad, especially if you had underlying conditions, which most of us in America do. But it was the dishonesty of the government. And for me, it was even more troubling because I was working in medical research at the time. And you could, when you listened to what they were saying, you knew they were lying. And if you tried to point out that they were lying, you were shut down and ostracized, and medical professionals got themselves in a lot of trouble for telling the truth. And anytime people get in trouble for telling the truth, that's not good. And I think the medical industry and the government have caused a lot of rightful questioning of what they say in the future. So in a strange way, it's probably good, because the things that we used to be told, now everybody's like, wait a second, that I don't know if I believe you, because there was a time where we would trust the government and we never should have.
All right, before we end the program today, Dorsey, you wanted to talk a little bit about misinformation in children. Yes. Tell me what that means.
So my daughters are 43 and 45. And we try to get together at least once a month to talk about family and what's going on in their lives and everything. And we had a very spirited conversation this last Tuesday. And I wasn't upset, but...
Didn't pull your weapon?
No.
Okay.
I wasn't upset, but I was concerned, because what they were parroting back to me about stuff that was going on in the world really bothered me, because it was wrong. And they absolutely told me without a doubt that they don't have time to investigate everything that's coming out on the news. They read the headlines and they move on. And I said, so you're making these life changes and these life choices based on stuff that you haven't even researched. And they told me, well, we just don't have the time. And, everybody lies and yada, yada, yada. So we just read it and go on and make our decisions on that. And, so I left that event wondering how I can help them combat that. Because one of their complaints was, we are college-educated people, and we've been in the workforce since our 20s, and we can't afford anything. And that's Trump's fault. And I said, oh, no. Why would you say that? And they told me where they were getting their information, and they told me the headlines they were reading. But I had to go back and unwind all of that. And they're in their 40s, and they're not stupid people. And so, I'm trying to figure out, with the exception of, sitting down once a month, like having a Bible study and explaining them the ways of the world and how things used to be. I find they don't have a lot of history of how things were in the past, even though we've had those discussions as they were coming up. I mean, they know more than the majority of people.
Yeah.
only because of the fact that I was raised in the military.
Yeah.
And I insisted that they, knew the Declaration of Independence. They knew the Pledge of Allegiance. They knew all of that. But that was probably only because of the fact that was the way I was taught, because my children were taught that in schools. They were not.
Both of your girls go to college?
Say again?
Did both of your girls go to college?
Yes. And
do you lay any of the fault at the base of their tenured college professors that are more interested in preaching propaganda than teaching children how to think rationally on their own?
Well,
to research things instead of just taking somebody's word for something?
Well, I raised my children that way, right? I told them, you need to go to college if that's what you feel like you want to do. And for the sciences, right, your math, English, all the stuff that requires precision, you go ahead and apply that in your life. But everything else, as soon as you get your diploma, you need to throw it all out because it's lies. It's lies. It is not the way the real world works. And it's not going to serve you very well to try to take what you've learned in college in history or you learned in college in civics and try to apply it in the real world, because it doesn't work. And they did that. But when they did that, they started coming back to me reporting about how people were making fun of them, people were being unkind to them, because those people bought the party line.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Anybody else want to comment on anything?
I think it's G.K. Chesterton that basically talks about man has an innate need, an innate desire to worship. And if we don't worship the correct, we'll worship inferior substitutes. And the altars that seem to be going on today is science, medicine, gender, environment. They're worshiping a bunch of substitutes instead of worshiping, they're worshiping the gift as opposed to worshiping the gift giver. But this is why we've set Fauci on a pedestal, and Fauci can do no wrong, because if you're not worshiping and relying on God for your source, you're relying on science and medicine. And Fauci was God, and whatever Fauci said, the Biden White House, the FBI, Zuckerberg said they come in, they cussed their employees out, they were flagging stuff they knew that was correct, but they were intimidating them to shut down anything on the environment, shut down anything on COVID, shut down anything on COVID-19, and shut down anything on the potential of an election. So we had FBI officials combined with White House officials basically shutting down our free speech in this country. And as Brad says, and I lived through this because I was having videos pulled down off of YouTube when I was doing radio over at Jordan Crossing. So this is the world we're living in. It's a 5-second attention media, and you get your news on the run from what used to be Twitter. Maybe it's not so much Twitter anymore, but that's where they got their news. They get their headlines and they go with it.
Larry?
Well,
any thoughts?
I've got a lot of thoughts. Dorsey is she's spot on. I've got my kids. My kids are in their 50s now, and they're very successful in what they do. Both of my boys have done very well in life. Not so lucky with wives, but very lucky in life. And they still watch the news and believe a lot of what they see. And because it doesn't affect their lives directly, they don't pay a lot of attention to it. And that's unfortunate because, we as the old soldiers, some of us, look at life and say, we need to make this better. We're doing okay, but, our children, our children's children, this is just going to get worse. So I'm a firm believer in checking things out before I do anything. I research what I'm planning to do and make sure that I'm making the best deal I can, or that I'm getting the best product I can, or that what I'm buying I actually need. So
yeah,
I would hope that we could talk our children into doing the same thing.
Brad, any thoughts from you tonight? today?
Well, I have said in other places and other social media that the greatest threat to our republic right now is the corruption and bias of the fourth estate. And the media was protected in the First Amendment of our Bill of Rights to be a counterweight to the government, to reveal the truth, to let people know what was really going on. They're supposed to make it so that those of us out in the workforce don't have to pay attention and listen to the entire speech of representatives and senators and the president. But the malpractice of the media causes all the problems that we're seeing in our country. So I'm not sure how to do it. One of the greatest things for our country, I think, was probably when Elon Musk took Twitter and it became X, because they were literally shutting down conservative voices and shutting down people that were posting the truth. Like you'd be deplatformed if you told the truth, and that is actually really scary if you think about it.
Yeah.
And him being so outraged that he had invested literally billions of dollars to make sure that didn't happen. We owe him a greater debt than I think most people realize.
All right, kids, I appreciate you taking the time to be a part of the program today. And for those of you watching and listening, thank you very much. We're always interested in your thoughts, and you can email us. You can go on our Facebook group page at Point, Counterpoint. Sometimes it's Omaha, sometimes it's USA, but it's always thanks for listening.